does your theory imply about the best way to handle Iran?
Well, I think there are a couple of issues. Obviously, the situation is one where we cannot feel secure if they acquire nuclear weapons for reasons sort of beyond...
Whoa, you're a pretty hard line on that one. So
Oh,
you
sure.
don't want them to have nuclear weapons, full stop.
Well, do you?
No, I don't,
yeah.
but all kinds of people. General Abizade has said, I can't remember the quotation exactly, but he said we can live with a nuclear Iran. Isn't that close to the quotation?
He said we could. They were subject to the traditional laws of containment, which I don't think that they are.
Well, what if they downstream one of these weapons to a network? See, my problem is I think...
I'm with you. I'm with you.
If there's ever going to be a nuclear Napoleon, he'll be in a terror network. Here you have a society with a clear relationship with the terror network, Hezbollah, which, by the way, held its own pretty well with swarming style against the Israelis a few years ago. Assume they get their hands on one or two weapons. What do you do in that situation? How do you have mutual deterrence of a network? That's my concern. So I don't think Iran should get these weapons, and I think...
Let me put it to you this way. Yeah. I understand, because I've been well informed by a certain military analyst called Victor Davis Hanson,
I've heard of him.
that the military options for dealing with Iran right now are very few and very costly and very risky. And basically what it comes down to is we don't know too much about where their nuclear program is. So to be sure of whacking it,
but
you've got a lot of bombing missions, so a couple of weeks of bombing.
I said that was a terrible choice, but it was only better than the other choice.
Yeah,
of allowing them to get them.
No, all I'm trying to argue. I'll stop arguing and let you make it. But as I understand it, that's really the option we face. Is there some way we or the Israelis could adopt some of these?
I think new rules of war suggest a number of ways to go at the problem.
Okay.
Well, first of all, we have to deal with the problem that the Iranians have an explicit swarm doctrine in the Persian Gulf. When they do their exercises, they put like 1,000 guys on whalers, with explosives.
Yeah,
exactly. And as Admiral John Bastiani, former vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs, said, this is the thing that worries him the most in the world. So whatever we do is going to require a naval presence in the Persian Gulf. So first thing, we have to counter the Iranian swarm. The 1,000 points of light bombing campaign, I agree with Victor, is not likely to work. But I think there is, under existing international law, an ability that we have to maintain the continuity of safeguards under the Non-Proliferation Treaty. And that means that we should have the ability to secure some site for inspection at a time and place of our choosing. And if, in the world we live in today, if we were able to do this by these small and special means that we talk about here, and come out with a smoking calutron to show the world that look what the Iranians were doing here, then you have the entire world with you. So I'm not saying don't have a big invasion, don't have a big aerial bombing campaign, but use the small and the many to wrong foot.
What does that mean?
What it
10
means is
raids in the middle of the night on different sites?
You have to insert people in a manner and at places on the basis of good intelligence at which they will come out with evidence of...
We do that, or does the Israelis do it?
Oh, I'd say we would do it.
Victor?
Well, I don't think it's politically tenable. I don't think this administration...
In this administration?
Yeah, I mean, last time we did that, remember 1980 with Jimmy Carter, when we had a great plan, it was just poorly executed. It's very difficult to do.
To get the hostages out of Iran.
Yeah, I mean, we had a forward
and the helicopters
base.
crashed in the
Yeah, I mean, it's doable, but the problem with all of that is that it requires a political organization, a political administration that starts with the premise that it might not work and is willing to take that risk. And it doesn't seem to me that we're willing to do that. The only chance I think that we had a nonviolent was to really get out in front of the protest. I mean, as I said earlier, George Bush would not have been able to appeal in a magnetic, charismatic fashion the way Barack Obama did, but he voted president last summer when those demonstrations took place. That would have been a disruptive if we had a guy like Obama supporting grassroots democracies. That would have been sent a lot of confusing signals.
Let me ask this question. We have Robert Gates, Secretary of Defense. He's announced an end to the production of the F-22 fight. No more F-22 fighters. He's eliminating certain Army armored vehicles. He's overturned plans to build missile defenses in Eastern Europe. We have President Obama. Gates is a Republican. Obama's a Democrat. Let's just say 5 years from now, into the next administration, maybe it's Barack Obama for a second time, maybe not. If I got the two of you back here, would you say that the Pentagon had done a good job of incorporating John's ideas, or are you concerned instead that there's too much old-fashioned thinking, too much of a political overhang, and we'll still be behind the curve. Victor?
It's going to be dependent not on the argument of counterinsurgency or Iraq or Afghanistan. John's group and his thinkers are going to have to persuade the traditional bureaucracy that this networking approach, in conventional term, if I could use that term, will work better against North Korea, China, because I think everybody understands we don't want to fight the last war.
Last question. Can you do what Victor said you need to do? Are you going to be able to persuade the Pentagon?
Well, I think we already have with an officer corps in the middle ranks right now. They all, what we call the 03s and 04s, the captains and the majors, all sort of understand this, and they're very good networkers. One of the best things I did in Iraq was create something called companycommand.com, where all the captains talk to each other. This works, that doesn't work, and best practices we're moving overnight. And 5 years from now, well, they won't be generals yet, but if you are willing to go out 10 years, that generation all gets it. So we'll be doing a lot more of this. But Victor's absolutely right. The challenge is, can this approach work in a big war? And I think it can.
All right. As so often in American military history, we must place our faith in the captains. A little in the colonels, not so much in the generals. John Arquilla, Victor Davis Hanson, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
I'm Peter Robinson for Uncommon Knowledge on the Hoover Institution. Thanks for joining us.